What if the person you treated badly today ends up being the one to change your life tomorrow? A janitor helps a rude student years later, but the twist? Their roles are completely reversed. You won't believe how it ends. What if the very person you looked down on became the one to lift you up? That's exactly what happened in this unforgettable story about a high school janitor and a cocky student. It's a reminder that life has a funny way of teaching us lessons we don't see coming. Stay with me, because this is one story you don't want to miss. Tom was the kind of guy who thought the world revolved around him. Popular, confident, and always surrounded by a group of admirers, he had a knack for making himself the center of attention. But sometimes his charm came with a cost. It often turned into arrogance. Mr. Carter, the school janitor, was his favorite target. To Tom, Mr. Carter wasn't a person, he was a punchline. Tom would loudly mock him in front of classmates, saying things like, "Hey, Carter, don't quit your day job," and "Mr. Spot again, old man." The worst part? Tom's friends laughed every time, which only fueled his behavior. He didn't see Mr. Carter as someone with a life, dreams, or struggles. To Tom, he was invisible. Just someone. But Mr. Carter had a story that no one bothered to ask about. Years ago, he had a stable job, a loving wife, and a happy life. But when his wife fell seriously ill, everything changed. The medical bills drained his savings, and after a long battle, he lost her. Left with nothing but grief and debt, Mr. Carter took whatever work he could find. Being a janitor wasn't what he dreamed of, but it was honest work. Despite everything he'd been through, he carried himself with dignity. He greeted students with kindness, even the ones who mocked him. One day, after cleaning up a spill Tom intentionally made, Mr. Carter quietly said, "You never know where life might take you, Tom." Be careful how you treat people. At the time, Tom just laughed it off. But those words would come back to him one day in a way he never expected. Fast forward a decade. Tom had graduated, landed a corporate job, and thought he had life all figured out. He was earning 6 figures, driving a flashy car, and living in a high-rise apartment. But life, as Mr. Carter once hinted, doesn't always go the way you plan. The company Tom worked for hit financial trouble, and within months, it shut down. Tom lost his job, and with no savings or backup plan, he was forced to give up his apartment. He spent months applying for new positions, but faced rejection after rejection. For the first time in his life, Tom felt powerless. Eventually, he found a job at a small local firm. It wasn't glamorous, but it was a lifeline. On his first day, Tom walked into the office, nervous but determined to make it work. As he was introduced to the team, a familiar voice stopped him in his tracks. "Tom, is that you?" Tom turned around, and there he was, Mr. Carter. Only this time, he wasn't wearing a janitor's uniform. He was in a suit, and the plaque on his desk read, "Operations Manager." Tom's face turned pale. Memories of high school flooded back, every insult, every laugh at Mr. Carter's expense. But Mr. Carter didn't bring up the past. Instead, he extended a hand and said, "Welcome to the team. Let me know how I can help you get started." Over the next few months, Tom worked closely with Mr. Carter. He saw firsthand how kind, patient, and wise the man was. Slowly, Tom began to admire him, not for his position but for his character. One evening, as they stayed late to finish a project, Tom finally apologized. "Mr. Carter," he said, "I owe you an apology. I was terrible to you in high school. I'm ashamed of how I acted." Mr. Carter smiled softly and said, "Tom, we all make mistakes. What matters is how we learn from them." This story isn't just about Tom and Mr. Carter, it's about all of us. It's a reminder that no matter where we are in life, kindness and humility matter. You never know what someone else is going through or where they might end up. Here's a custom quote that sums it up. "The way you treat others when you think no one's watching says more about you than any success ever will." If this story moved you, subscribe to the channel for more inspiring content.